The Hulk was a fan favorite from the get-go. He also had his own title from the get-go, unlike Iron Man and Thor. In the first issue, he was gray, not green, but when he suddenly became what the boys at Marvel called Old Greenskin, nobody minded. He was one of the funnest characters they had come up with yet.
Dr. Banner, melted by gamma rays, turned into the Hulk.
Inky and glamour rays,
Wrecking the town with the power of a bull.
ain't no monster clown who is as lovable
As ever-loving Hulk. Hulk, Hulk.
That's probably my favorite theme song. Now, even though it just told us his origin, we're going to see the extended cut today and get more details.
Alone in the desert stands the most fearsome weapon ever created by man, the incredible Gamma Bomb. In a concrete bunker, scientists await the G-bomb's first awesome test. Dr. Bruce Banner, whose genius created the bomb, awaits the final moment as a fellow scientist angrily argues.
Fellow scientist is named Igor, and he wants to know the secret of the bomb, which Dr. Banner has refused to share. His name is Igor, he has what I think is supposed to be a Russian accent, and he's after secrets. Nothing to be concerned about.
Hello, General Ross.
Why the delay? What are you waiting for? Are you testing that bomb or not?
Precautions must be taken. We're tampering with powerful forces.
Don't lecture me, Banner. Just speed it up. With me in charge instead of a milksop like you, this test would be over by now.
Oh, Daddy, don't be so unfair. I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
Keep out of this, Betty. It's man talk.
Well, gosh, she didn't realize that. She'll take her shoes off, go get pregnant, and head for the kitchen right away.
Don't mind, Dad, Mr. Banner. Being nicknamed Thunderbolt Ross takes some living up to.
Brabab.
Or not. When you grow up the daughter of someone nicknamed Thunderbolt, you either become a meek little slave to him and everybody else, or you become so fiercely independent it drives him buggy. Betty Ross often took pleasure in shutting him down like that, and the General never figured it out, to my knowledge. Right now, it's time for the countdown.
It just isn't right, Banner, for you to be the only one who knows the secret of harnessing the gamma rays.
Sorry, Igor, but the formulas are locked in my room, and there they will stay.
You fool! If you've made a mistake, you'll blow up half a continent.
Dr. Banner, the countdown has begun.
Thinking with your fist is hardly scientific, Igor. We'll continue this discussion later.
But the Kremlin wants that formula now. Bruce really can't figure this out.
Just a few seconds left for the powerful gamma rays to be unleashed, and then... Good Lord! What's that? It's a teenager heading into the test area. Igor, halt the countdown. I must get to that boy.
Sure, Banner, sure. But look, if I don't stop it, it'll be the end of Bruce Banner.
Since this is a military project, I have a feeling MPs would have been all over that car before it got this close. I also have a feeling Thunderbolt Ross wouldn't have let Bruce go out there himself and would have insisted on sending MPs. But what kind of Hulk would one of those guys make? Bruce must have had some inkling that Igor wasn't on the up and up, because he crams the kid into a concrete bunker, even though he told Igor to stop the countdown.
There. You're safe.
Let's go have a talk with Igor. I have a feeling he's fired.
Banner, it's a miracle that you're still alive.
How did I get here?
I brought you. I'm Rick Jones. You saved my dumb life, and you're the first one that ever cared what happened to me, Rick Jones, orphan.
Rick Jones will become his sidekick for most of the early years. Until Dr. Banner saved him, he was a typical juvenile delinquent who engaged in small-time theft, hustling, whatever would put food in his stomach. He drove out there on a dare from his friends. But his life just changed, and all that is behind him.
I'm beginning to feel strange, different. This must be the end.
What's with the radio, Doc? All I get is static.
Well, that's a Geiger counter to measure radiation, and it's going wild. What's happening? Hey, you changed.
Out of my way, insect.
Where am I? Why am I locked in here? I want out! 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 Out!
We may be looking at Marvel's very first retcon. As I mentioned, in the origin story in his comic, he was gray at first. I think everybody was just as happy that he changed to green because not only did it make him stand out more, it felt like a more likely result of radiation. The radium dials on our clocks and watches glowed green because radiation, so shouldn't that mean a monster created by radiation would be green? This really is 60s thinking. But by the time these cartoons came out, almost nobody remembered the Gray Hulk, so they made him green from the start. We didn't mind.
Hey, Sarge, look! What's that?
Men! Poor little men! Have to get out of here!
Doc, wait!
Have to hide!
Wait for me! You saved my life, and now you need me! Wait!
I'm not sure what Rick thinks he can do for him, but I'll give him points for the effort.
Silently, the monstrous being that was once Bruce Banner crouches in the shadows.
Fan out, man. We've got to find that Hulk.
And thus a name is given to the green-skinned Goliath.
It was never explained how, but he'll almost immediately pick up that name and start calling himself the Hulk.
But the incredible truth that Bruce Banner is the Hulk goes unsuspected. The Hulk instinctively lumbers toward Dr. Banner's cottage.
I must go home.
I wonder where he's headed.
Stealthily, for one so ponderous, the Hulk approaches the cottage, followed by the faithful Rick.
But somebody's already at his house. Somebody who wasn't invited.
Igor is searching for Banner's gamma ray formula. A sudden noise makes him turn.
What? Who? Stop, clumsy one, and die. Yes, die. For no one must report this to the security police.
Igor was evil? I'm devastated. I guess you can't trust anybody these days.
No! Don't! Stand back!
So, this is what the little man tried to destroy me with. A gun!
I used to know a guy who could fix that, but I'm not sure anything can fix Igor once the Hulk gets done with him.
Lying amidst the debris, Rick discovers the gamma ray formula.
This looks important. I'd better give it to the Army. You wrote it as Bruce Banner.
Banner. Bruce Banner. Who's Bruce Banner? I know that face, but it is weak, gentle. I hate it.
When Rick says you are Bruce Banner, he turns violent.
And as for you...
What? What do you mean?
Suddenly, and without warning, the Hulk is seized with a tremor. And as the good of Bruce Banner wars with the evil in his clouded brain, miraculously, he becomes Dr. Bruce Banner once more.
Maybe they can both get a little quiet and gather their thoughts.
Open up!
Where is he? Where's the Hulk?
Maybe they can't.
The Hulk? Must mean you, Doc.
Dr. Banner.
We trailed him here. I know the Hulk came in here.
The Hulk! The Hulk! The Hulk!
It's Igor. He must have been looking for my gamma ray formula.
Well, Doctor, explanations are in order. How do you account for that shoulder wound? Back off, buddy. Who do you think he is? The Hulk?
We were in the jeep that hit that Hulk, sir.
And Captain, he was nothing like Dr. Banner.
Now that they're trying to describe it, they all sound a little off.
Miss Ross? Betty, I'll call you after I've had a chance to pull myself together.
Oh, it's Betty now, is it? How revolting.
Please do call, Bruce. I suspect you're in great trouble, and I want to help.
They sort of had a thing going behind the general's back. They had to do it that way because he was dead set against Betty marrying some puny egghead instead of a real man like him. See, in the 60s, women hadn't developed actual brains for themselves yet. That part was still evolving. Therefore, they had to depend on men to make big decisions for them. Some men think that's still the case and women's brains are still trying to evolve, so they need an alpha male to tell them what to do. They haven't kept up with the scientific journals. I'm sure that's the reason.
These American fools. Even in a cell, I am dangerous. Now, by means of my sub-miniature shortwave sending set, I shall transmit the secret far across the sea to the Gorgon. He will know what to do.
He makes the dots and dashes by blinking his eyes real fast. By the time he was done, he had hypnotized himself. The guards found him singing like Elvis and doing the funky chicken.
A code message from Igor arrives and is relayed to a foreign officer. He realizes its importance and, afraid to face the awful Gorgon himself, assigns the task to a subordinate who, equally fearful, passes it on to yet another underling, and so, in typically courageous fashion, the message has gone down the line to the last unfortunate, who has no one left to hand it to.
Bureaucracy at its finest. This guy doesn't want to face the Gorgon either, so he just slips the message under the door.
Unbelievable. There exists in America a creature called the Hulk, whose power almost matches mine. Well, we shall see. We shall see.
Once upon a time, people with deformities like his had to subsist on handouts on the street or rent themselves out as circus sideshow freaks or the like. They were persecuted because they looked different. This man has used the paranoia to rise to a position of power. His words suggest that he thinks he's as strong as the Hulk, and we won't learn how that came about. He has a supersonic rocket that will carry him to the United States. His capsule detaches right before the military shoots his rocket down, and he goes in search of the Hulk.
It's hard to believe, Doc, that you, the world's most famous missile expert, because you were exposed to your own gamma rays, might change again at any time. Doc, your hands! It's happening! You're becoming the Hulk again! Look out! Keep your hands on the wheel!
Wheel? What wheel? Who cares about a wheel?
You should, and that's why. The Hulk has a new goal.
Oh, my hand.
What am I doing here? Where's Betty? Must see Betty.
No, wait. You can't let Miss Ross see you like this. Stop!
At last, the one called the Hulk.
Betty is concerned about Bruce, so she's taking a walk to clear her head.
Where is a Hulk?
What? Oh!
Brain head.
The idea was to clear her head, not shut it down. But they can't think about that right now. The Gorgon is confronting them, and he has a gun. A very special gun.
This weapon shoots a will-destroying pellet of my own design.
It's loaded with Valium.
I'll swat you like a flea. Wrong again. For the instant this pellet strikes you, you will become my slave. And now you...
Whatever it's loaded with, that stuff works. The Gorgon has a spare rocket, so he loads them all in it and heads for home.
Reaching the edge of space, they level off to glide behind the steel curtain at supersonic speeds.
If it was the Iron Curtain, they wouldn't need to go that fast, but the Steel Curtain is stronger, so they have to hit it harder.
Massive Hulk sits like a dolt inside the cabin. Suddenly, and he becomes once more Dr. Bruce Banner, world-renowned scientist.
The Gorgon recognizes Dr. Banner and realizes that Banner is the Hulk. So what's he going to do with them?
It's the most horrible thing in the world to be a freak.
Doc, he's crying.
I guess the first thing he's going to do is ask for a tissue.
I'd give anything to be normal again, anything.
Doc, he's actually begging you to help him.
I know, Rick. Let me think. Radiation might help if we could do it now, but we need the proper equipment.
I have it.
He's an atomic scientist himself, but nobody will work with him because of the way he looks. It's especially an issue behind the Steel Curtain, I guess, because you notice that neither Bruce nor Rick is especially put off by his appearance. Bruce will do some finagling with the Gorgon's equipment, and let's see if we can help this man.
And so, where once a Gorgon lay, a man arises.
I despise you and all you stand for. An American cured me, and I renounce you.
The prisoners have escaped in the Gorgon's rocket.
And worse than that, the meatballs are getting cold.
Enter, gentlemen. I am he whom you once called the Gorgon, and knowing that I have saved America's most brilliant scientist, I am prepared to pay the price. With you, as a man.
Don't worry, the rocket is far away from the nuclear explosion. We didn't get to find out how the Gorgon came to exist, who he was, why he came to exist. He was just there, murderous and angry, until someone showed him a little human kindness. And through the magic of radiation, he became normal again. Just long enough to blow himself up. People are weird.
Dismayed by the news received on his subminiature radio in America, Igor awaits the fate of all spies.
It's the height of the Cold War, only 3 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis and President Kennedy's assassination. Yeah, the country didn't take too kindly to spies. Ask the Rosenbergs.
While aboard the rocket,
We're safe now, Dr. Banner.
You are, Rick. But will I ever be safe from the Hulk?
You'll be safe. He doesn't come after you. Since it was lifted straight from the comic, this told the story faithfully. In other news, water is wet. I found the animation much better in this than in some of the others. I'm not sure why. I think maybe there was just more of it. Help me out here, please. It would take some time to fully develop the Hulk's personality and turn him into the tortured hero. He would eventually join the Avengers, but he didn't stay long. He just didn't mesh with the rest of the group. I wonder why. Rick Jones would stay by his side through the entire run of the comic. As we saw, Rick was a hard-nosed teenager who scoffed at authority. He had to grow up real quick, and the good news is he did an excellent job of it. Despite his day job as the Hulk, Bruce proved to be a good teacher and moral guide for the boy. The matchup was about as unlikely as it gets, and readers responded. Anything to add? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Dr. Bruce Banner, melted by gamma rays, turns into the Hulk.
Ain't he on glamour rays?
Wrecking the town with the power of a bull.
Ain't no monster clown who is as lovable
As ever-loving Hulk. Hulk, Hulk.
Betty Ross, not Betsy, dummy. It was never out of the circus side. Therefore, okay, you stay put.